Welcome to The Exclusive. I'm your host, Sharon Tharp. I'm really excited to talk to this guy today. We've been trying to set this up for a minute. I know he doesn't do a lot of interviews, so I'm very appreciative that he had agreed to chat today. You know, I'm bringing together legends of the game. I just spoke with Daniel Reyes, and she brought this guy up. And so I'm super excited to talk to Big Brother 20 runner-up and all-star, Tyler Crispen. Tyler, thank you for being here.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Good to be
Of
here.
course.
Trying to get into it a little more. Figured I had to, speak to you if I'm getting back
Yeah.
at it. And that's crazy that Danielle mentioned me, by the way. That's nuts. That's mind blowing.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Um, so the people that aren't sort of like tuned into your social media and don't follow you super closely, but know you from the show, give us like the life update. Where are you living? I know you have a new podcast. Just give us like what's been going on lately for you.
Yeah, things are good. Things are good. Started a new podcast called The Wavelength. Started with one of my best friends that I grew up with. We talk a little Big Brother, but we talk a lot of other life things too. So that's been fun. Just been building that, living life, having a good time. Enjoying this season of Big Brother. I'm finally watching it again.
I was gonna ask you, how closely do you watch? Are you like you check in now and then, or are you watching like every episode?
In the past few seasons, I've kind of just like followed up on it with the like via social media, pretty much, just to see like who's evicted this week and who's doing what. But this year, I'm actually watching. It's been fun. I just caught up on the last like 3 or 4 episodes, and I'm like, this is a pretty good season. So I'm happy I'm diving back into this one.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like it's messy. There's like not as much strategy as usual, and that's why when people are like, "Oh, it feels kind of like old school Big Brother," I kind of
Right.
get it because it's
Yeah.
like messy for no reason.
Right. Exactly. Just like it's just people in there just trying to like be entertaining and just like throw their games away just to be messy, and I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, as a viewer, I'm like, please. As a player, I don't know.
Right, exactly. But as a player, I'm like, dang, I wish I was in there,
Hmm.
letting everybody else stir things up and just sitting back, like some people are doing. Which I see them. I see them back there. They're looking nice.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people like in the shadows that I think sort of once we hit jury and get into the game more, that will maybe come to the forefront. But right now, it's
Hmm.
like the Angela and Tucker show. I feel
Right,
like.
exactly. And I'm sure everyone's loving just letting them just erupt things back and forth and just hope they don't get caught in the crossfire right now.
Exactly. I'm curious. Are you in South Carolina still, or where are you at
Yeah,
usually
yeah. Well,
living?
I'm between Hilton Head and like I'm in Nashville a lot. That's where my co-host and I record our podcast. So I'm all over the
Oh,
place,
okay.
but I love the East Coast still. So had to stay out here.
Yeah, I'm biased too. I'm in New York. But I'm
Yeah.
curious. Like, do you obviously Hilton Head? I'm assuming is a fairly small town. You've been there so long, but like, do you get recognized? And what are those experiences ever like? Like, if you're walking around Nashville or wherever you are.
I definitely still do, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. Like to this
Yeah.
day, I don't know. It's really cool. Like Hilton Head's a vacation destination in the summertime. So like you get a lot of people from like the Midwest that come in and they're like on vacation. And if they're Big Brother fans, they've like heard of Hilton Head. So then I'll like people will stop me on the beach and stuff like that sometimes. And then Nashville is kind of the same thing. I'm there so often and like everyone's on vacation trying to have a good time. And I actually like got recognized quite a bit there. It's crazy. It's super sweet. Everyone's a lot nicer to me to my face than they are on Twitter. So I appreciate that.
I know those Twitter fans. They could be a little vicious. But
Yeah, they're fun too. You got to have some of that.
yeah, I mean, that's how I keep up with like the live feed sometimes when I just don't have time to watch. So it's like
Exactly.
good and bad.
Exactly. You click on like the convos, and then if you click onto like the replies, that's the danger zone for me. The replies, oof. Yeah, I've learned to stay out of those.
Yeah, it's better that way. Well, I wanted to dig into this a little bit, but now that we're talking about it, you did seem to like step away a little bit from Big Brother, and when I talk to people, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like if you go into the show and you're playing and you're not a big fan, you come out of the show like a bigger fan. And I've started to notice
Hmm.
that all the super fans that play come out and they're like, I kind of need a break.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it that way, but I'm definitely on that. I had to take some time away for
Hmm.
sure. I'm like, 'cause I was just such a huge fan of the show before, and then you go in there, and you go in there again. And I'm like, I feel like I may have had enough Big Brother for the next 3 lifetimes. So maybe I should step back. Because at a certain point, your mind just races. And then, like I said, I had to take some seasons off of even watching it because I'm like, I still get the little heart palpitations watching it. Just like, I don't even know, so many mixed emotions seeing it. But I mean, it's crazy it's like a weird FOMO, but like happy you're not there. But like also, like you see what the people in there are going through and you want to like reach out to them sometimes and be like, oh, it's going to be okay. I promise it'll end soon. It's a whirlwind, but I love Big Brother and I'll never not love Big Brother. That's the thing.
Mm.
It can't come out of me. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I'm glad because I always, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but I was worried that you came in on BB22 like, F this show.
By like day 6, I was like, F this show. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of other things. I was like struggling with my mental health back then a lot more than I realized at the time. So since then, I've like taken a break from a lot of things and then kind of had to go through some stuff, and then kind of build myself back up. And I've been able to do that. Now I'm at a good place where I can look back fondly and learn from things in the past, and then still just be a Big Brother fan now, like I was back in the day. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's more fun that way, to be honest. You're
Yeah,
not so stressful.
exactly. Like
Like,
not so stressed. It's awesome.
yeah. Okay, so diving a little bit into BB20, and I listened to your podcast, and ask everyone to go listen to it. It's really good. You spoke
Oh,
a little
thanks.
bit about, yeah, about your casting experience, and I know you were casting in the casting process for OTT, and then you kind of got on that Kevin Hart show, TKO, and
Yeah.
then I remember you popped up on Big Brother, and I was like, was this planned? Um, so did you have like 2 weeks to prepare or less than that? Was it really quick?
Yeah. It was literally like the craziest 3 week span of all time because I had been living in Australia like for a year up until that like end of May, and then I don't know. Long story short, I was supposed to go on that TKO show. It was like one day of filming. So I did that, was flying back and forth from coast to coast. And then like a week went by after we recorded that episode. And Robin Cass gave me a call and was like, hey, I heard you were like good on this TKO show. I wasn't good. I sucked. I could have won 50 grand in one episode, by the way, and I blew it. Side note, still mad about that. But yeah, she called me and was like, hey, so do you want to come on this other show that we have? And I was like, I knew what she was talking about. But she didn't even realize that I had already been in the process before. Like, she didn't realize I was the same guy. And I was like, I called her back. I
Oh,
was like, I've been in finals before. You know that? And she's like, oh yeah, we already have a lot on you. So then that just kind of expedited the process for me. And yeah, like literally I was
so
working on the beach
interesting.
and got that call on my lunch break. And within like a week and a half, I was in the Big Brother house. It was absolutely nuts. So my casting experience was not like typical. You go to finals, you do all those things. It was like, all right, you ready? Like pack a bag. Like, let's go.
How do you think you would have done on OTT, or are you happy that didn't happen?
I was 21 at the time, like freshly 21 for OTT. So, I don't know. I had short hair, so I was kind of a different person back then. I don't even know. It worked out for the best. I think I would have been okay. I remember watching it, and I was like fans of everybody in there. I thought it was a cool cast, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I don't know. They could have chewed me up and spit me out. I'm thankful that I that they held me off until 20. That's for sure.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories you were telling on your podcast was how, when you're in these casting experiences, like, you're sort of an archetype, you're filling a role, and you sort of played into that. And you said it took
Hmm.
like a little bit into Big Brother 20 to like shed that. And you
Yeah,
said like you didn't even really recognize yourself the first few episodes. I thought that was so
yeah.
interesting. Do you think people tend to do that?
I do. Yeah. I think nowadays, like people like the casting, they're much better at recognizing it. And like, but at the same time, I'm like, they probably recognized that I maybe was playing up some sort of character, but they were just waiting for me to crash and burn and like waiting for it to fall away.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I thought it was going to fade faster for me. But once I got in there, I was like, I guess I'll just keep being this dumb surfer And I was like doing it all the time in the house, and then I go to the diary room and I would keep it up. But eventually, I was like, wait a minute, I need to like just kind of be myself here to America, or they're good. I'm going to be screwed all around.
Yeah, it reminds me. I remember I read Dan Giesling's book like years ago, and he said he had
Yeah,
been like really crazy in casting, and then when he got in there, he's like the quietest guy, just sitting there reading his Bible, and they're like, he's like, they did not realize what they had.
yeah.
They thought I was
That's
something
literally.
else.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly why I did that, because like I read Dan's book and was like, oh, that'll be the way to do it. Like, let's give it a shot. You know.
Exactly.
So it's
Yes.
Dan's fault. Everything's Dan's fault.
Dan. Yep. Um, have you gone back and watched any of your seasons, or are you kind of like, no thanks?
Oh, I've watched. Oh yeah, I
Oh,
watched.
you
I
had.
watched
Okay.
20 like I think I watched season 20 like right after right after the show ended, and then I've kind of like seen episodes here and there. And I watched a pretty good portion of 22,
Okay.
just even though it was difficult. I kind of like to know what's out there and know what people saw and know like what was happening behind the scenes that I didn't know. And I'm just like still a fan of Big Brother, so it's like it's still is it's mind blowing to watch yourself in there, and it's the most cringeworthy thing of all time. But at the same time, I'm like such a fan of the show that I had to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love how on your podcast you were like, yeah, BB22 sucked. It was not fun to
Oh, it sucked.
watch.
It was so boring. Like I just I stopped watching it because it was so boring. Oh, and I
Now you
that's
know how we
partially
feel.
my fault. So yeah, so I just want to apologize to all y'all for that because man, it was a dropped ball. 22 was. I hope the
Yeah.
next All Stars that comes around. Not I hope. I know the next All Stars that comes around is gonna be like a banger. Because since then, the amount of All Stars that are in the Big Brother like world, you can fill up an entire season with people just from like 23 on. I would say so.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Yep.
bad for 22, y'all. I apologize.
You also mentioned that you were 21, I guess, what, in casting, and then you were 23 during BB22? Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah.
23?
I think I was the second youngest one in there. I think Haley was 21, and then I was 23. Yeah, so I was just a baby.
Yeah. I just spoke to Haley, and she was basically telling me how she thinks 21 is maybe a little too young to go in. But what are your thoughts,
Yeah,
like playing as 23?
I mean, I look back at I'm kind of with her a little bit, but I guess it depends on who you are as a person. Like don't get me wrong, I'm real proud of my experience and how I played on 20. But at the same time, I like looking back, I can still see how I was like immature in some ways and like the way
Of
I played the
course.
game, and I wasn't exactly like the adult that I've grown into be quite yet. So I don't know. I feel like I definitely would have been a different player if I went in now versus then. But at the same time, I don't know. There's people like Cedric who's on this season. He's 21, right?
Yeah.
Like I think he's pretty young like that, and he just seems to be holding like such a he's like he holds his head up high, and he's like he doesn't like when people are yelling at him, like when Tucker was coming at him, he was just like super laid back and not argumentative. So there's people like that who, are super chill and relaxed and can handle it. So I guess it depends on the person, but yeah, 21, that would have that's pretty young for sure.
Yeah. That's a good point. I definitely think it depends. Well,
Mm-hmm.
everyone wants to know, like, who from your season are do you still talk to regularly? Is there anyone that you haven't gotten to catch up with that you want to, but like, is there anyone that you talk to pretty regularly?
Pretty regularly, I'd say. No surprise, like like Kaycee,
Yeah.
JC. I was on the challenge with Fessy, so people like that. I mean, it's not. It's one of those things where it's like it's kind of like when you go to school with somebody and you're like best friends, but then
Yep.
you go out into the real world and you aren't able to like kind of keep in touch as much. So, but there's a part of me that's like anyone from like Big Brother that I see. Like if I saw anyone from either of my seasons out in public, I'd just be super stoked to see him. It's like a family and like a dynamic that it can't really be broken. Like for better or
Yeah.
for worse, and we were at each other's throats, but at the same time, it's just like there's nobody that I hold anything against in the real world. So, but yeah, of course Kaycee can never do any wrong in my eyes. Like she's like the greatest human. I'm so proud of everything that she's done. So yeah, people
Yeah.
like that. It's awesome.
I just spoke to Casey actually, and I was talking because obviously it came down to a very close vote, and there were a lot of there were a contingent of the fans that were like Tyler should have won, blah blah blah, Does that feel good that like, and I know you on your podcast said that you are actually happy you didn't win.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Is that the
which sounds
case?
kind of nuts, but yeah, for sure. Like, it's kind of going back to what I was saying about being a little bit immature, I guess.
Hmm.
Like in a way, I played Big Brother in such a way that I was like, I thought I had to be kind of like stabbing people in the back and keeping secrets from them behind their back. But then seeing the Kaycee win in the way that she won, and like just loving Kaycee as a person so much, and seeing like the positive, like incredible person she is, and then she gets rewarded for that. It's like a life lesson for me going forward to be like, for me to be like, you know what, you can just kind of be yourself and you just make friends and genuine connections, and life can work out for you in that way. So I mean, in the big scheme of things, I really am happy I wasn't rewarded for that kind of thing, like stabbing people in the back, I guess, even though it is Big Brother. Fans might not want to hear that, but that's kind of how I feel.
No, I get it. There's also like when
You
you
know what I
don't
mean?
win, and when you don't win and people think like, wow, this guy was a really good player, there's like this sort of reverence for your game. Same thing with like a Daniel Reyes or a Paul, people who did really well but just didn't win. I almost feel like sometimes that's better because people are like, your story's not over and we want to see. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's kind of cool.
For sure. It definitely is really like it means a lot when people like recognize like like how I played, I guess, cuz I
Yeah.
really put everything into it, and I was such a big fan, so I literally couldn't ask for anything more coming out of
Yeah.
that show besides like $425,000. But other than that,
That's
I wouldn't ask for anything.
yeah, the money is the sticking point for
Yeah,
sure.
the bank account was like, "No, you should have won, dude."
So close. I mean, I did talk to
So
Haley and she was there was like a I don't know if you remember. There was like a rumor going around that like the jury had a pact or something and Haley told me that the jury was never on the same page and like there was not a pact. They certainly talked about like different scenarios and who they wouldn't vote
right.
for, but she said that all along, you know, when it came between you and Kaycee, she just especially cuz she was sort of on to you the whole game. She was like she really
Yeah.
respected your game. Um so do you ever think like do you play the what if game? Like, oh, if I just convinced one more person, or if Haley maybe convinced Fessy, or like, do you ever play that scenario out?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't, because sometimes I do, and I'll go back and just, but not in a way where I like have regrets, but in a way where I'm like analyzing myself, especially going into like 22, trying to learn from
Yeah.
my past mistakes. But at the end of the day, I'm really just like, I can't believe I even made it that far. Like, especially, I don't even know. It's still mind blowing that I even made that far. But I guess if we're talking about jury votes, I definitely thought I had Scotty and Fessy in the bag, and apparently they were the farthest thing away from voting for me. So, I mean, you really never know. And I guess Haley, maybe I don't know if this is true, but I guess she changed her mind last minute and like voted for me. So I don't even really know. But
Yeah.
it was just mind blowing for me to even be there, and I don't even think I could even make a sentence in the final two speeches anyway. Didn't expect
I
to be there for that, so that was nuts.
no, I think you did okay. I mean, I don't remember, but Haley said that you know even in the final finale, I think she was like convinced to vote for you. So you didn't do terrible, Tyler.
I
Ease
got
up on
some votes.
yourself.
I'll take my votes. I appreciate the vote for sure. And second
Yeah.
place was dope. I won $75,000, and I had $75,300 in my bank account at the end, so I was very happy. So
Very
I'll
nice.
take. Yeah.
Um, Okay, well, we'd be remiss not to mention that obviously you built a relationship in the house, which is not easy. You know, I talked to other people who have showmances, Taylor and Joseph, Rachel and Brendan, and I'm curious, like, if you're in a showmance, is there that pressure because people feel like they have access to your life to like keep them updated on everything and like did you feel that pressure in the house or coming out of the house at all?
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely not in my like bingo card for me to come out of there like in a relationship, and I really hadn't really been in a relationship in my real life to begin with. So then coming out of there in one was definitely difficult to manage and caused a lot of stress on me personally, which I mean, by the time Big Brother 22 came around, I was so just kind of out of myself that I didn't really feel like myself anymore. so yeah, it's definitely difficult. And so I commend anybody who's like, who comes out of there and they kind of make it work, or if they don't make it work, like you still gotta still try and support them. Cause yeah, the fan base is so used to seeing everything play out with these people 24/7 for 100 days straight. And it can be hard for them to like have that access stripped away from them. So then everyone,
Hmm.
like sometimes they can be a little bit intrusive and not really realize it. But yeah, it's definitely difficult to manage. But at the end of the day, it's an experience that you learn from and grow from.
For sure. I know you have a new girlfriend, and I'm not going to ask you to expose her by any means. But you said on your podcast, like you both made an intentional, you purposely want to sort of keep it quiet, which I totally respect. Was that a concerted effort, like because you had been in such a public sort of persona, and you're still in the public eye, right?
Yeah,
Um, Sort
yeah,
of, how did that come about? I guess.
yeah. It's just something that we kind of spoke about early on, like, and if anything, it strengthens the connection, because it can be hard to, for someone that is in the public eye to be with someone that's not, and I remember how difficult it was for me to just be thrust into that at
Yep.
first, and it's like, it's crazy going from, you only hear maybe opinions about yourself from your friends and your family to you go in the show, you come out and you hear opinions about you being thrown at you like 24/7, like on a large scale. So it's not easy to deal with. So yeah, we made that decision to just keep things private and between us and strengthen the connection that we have in our relationship. And it works out because at the end of the day, that's really what matters. Like other people's perceptions really don't matter. So if you can keep
Yep.
those blocked out as much as you can, then definitely worth it. It's definitely working out. It's awesome.
Love it. Okay, love to hear it.
Hmm.
I know we brought up BB22 a couple times, so I want to dig in a little bit there. I had spoken to, I've talked to Josh a bit about this. I've talked to Kaycee, and they both sort of took me through their preseason stories, which I think they both were like, dude, I just wish I saw Tyler's face. So talk to me
No,
about when you get in this house and you look around and you're like, wait a minute, where are my friends?
I'm like, oh, okay, got it. They're not here. Yeah. So me, Josh, Kaycee, and Christmas, we had our little
Yep.
preseason alliance going on. And don't, and mind you, I had never even met Christmas. I had never even spoken to Christmas one on one. So like we just
Mm.
kind of had that like agreement going in because everyone's talking and chirping all the time. Of course, it's freaking Kaycee and like, yeah, that's just, of course, like it would be dumb like to not be like, of course it's me and Kaycee, you know what I mean? And
People
Josh I
are
had
going to
met.
assume anyway. People would assume
Exactly.
you and
So it's
Casey
like,
would. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So of course we had our little thing, and Kaycee had texted me like right before we got our phones taken going into like our 2 week quarantine because she had had COVID and she had been like doing like false positives going up until then, and she had texted me like, "Hey, I'm all good to go. I'll see you in there." And then we get our phones taken, come down the stairs. I'm like, okay, Kaycee's not in my first group of people. That's okay. Guess she'll be in the next one. Kaycee and Josh come down the stairs, walk around the corner. Nobody, nobody. I didn't even know who Memphis was. And I'm like, I don't even know half of these people. I didn't know like Kevin. I didn't remember a lot of these people. And I'm like, where is Kaycee? And where is Josh? And nice to meet you, Christmas. I guess we're working together here by default. So yeah, that was tough. It would have been a different season if Kaycee and Josh were there, to say the least.
well, yeah. I mean, if you're mentally not in a great space going in to begin with, and then you realize your friends aren't there, that had
Yeah,
to also factor in
yeah,
to
a hundred
everything.
percent, 100%. I mean, there. Don't get me wrong. Like the cast, the people were, everyone there was like nice and everything. They weren't like excluding me by any means, but I definitely had a lot of points where I felt super alone in there. And
Mm.
just going back to Big Brother 20, like anytime I was feeling like that in the Big Brother 20 house, or anytime I was feeling down, or my mind was racing, Kaycee was always there. We were a team and we did that
Yep.
thing together. And so like neither of us would have been there without the other one. That like we wouldn't have made it that far without each other. So to not have her there and then to not have Josh there also was just kind of, it's like, man, what did I get myself into? This is crazy. Like it was hard.
Yeah. How did your game like pivot? Were you like, oh shit, I need to start talking to people? Were you like, what? I guess take me back to that moment.
I mean, I don't even know how it pivoted. I just, yeah, I definitely started reaching out to more people and went back to my old ways of being like, all right, you and me, final two, let's do it, David,
Yep.
whatever. Well, you know what I mean? And anytime anyone wanted to be in an alliance, I'm like, let's go, me and you, final two. I went back to my old ways that I planned on not doing. So I think maybe in my intro package, I was like, all right, I don't want to go around making all these freaking final twos that I can't agree to or I can't hold up again. And that's the first thing I do, of course, because my strategy went out the window the second we all met.
Yeah. I mean, also just coming off from BB20, you're a very popular player, you win America's favorite. Did you feel pressure also just from the fan point of view of like, oh, damn, I need to live up to this hype as well?
Yeah, for sure. And that was another thing that was like really weighing on me. I would say it was
Hmm.
like that pressure to kind of prove that it wasn't a fluke, I guess, in a way, my first time around, like to prove that I really was like a good player and deserving to be there in All Star. So, and yeah, and just the point I was at in my life where like now I could say that's the kind of pressure that I can use and thrive in. But back then, like during that time frame, it just wasn't something that I could kind of handle mentally. And so it kind of, yeah, started spiraling on me,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
I
but no, learning lesson.
Yeah, I think fans can be a little harsh when it's so much easier on the outside to say, "Oh, like you just gave up," or whatever they want to say, but it's like if you're already going through a hard time and then you lock yourself in a house where you can't go outside and I mean,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
even imagine.
right. I think I saw somebody say it recently. It was like if you're dealing, it might have been Xavier. It was like if you're dealing with any sort of issue on the outside, it's like take care of it before you go in there because it's gonna surface eventually when you're in there because everything surfaces. You got 100
Yep.
days and your mind is gonna be pushed to the limit and your body. So yeah, try to do your best to get a baseline of your mental health before you walk in that house because that's the only way you can do it.
I don't know how much fans really know how bad it was. Like you hit a breaking point where you wanted to quit. You talked to producers. You were talking to the therapist. Like what was that breaking point for you? Like why were you like just get me out of here?
Um, I remember the thing that finally kind of like got to me. I think it was like Bailey and Davon were on the block, and they we had just like finished a veto, and they both lost the veto and didn't go forwards, and I could just see like how hurt they were to like not win that veto because they thought one of like especially Davon. I remember seeing Davon; she was just like so hurt because she thought she was 100% gonna go home and I just remember having the thought, and I was like, wow, I have gone this past like whatever week just wishing I could go home. And then that just compiled on top of everything. And I was like, wow, I'm out here like wishing I could go home. And Davon, who is like an amazing person who I just love and respect so much, is just like fighting for her life in here. And just to see that, it kind of just like broke me. And I was like, man, I like got to get out of here. I'm definitely not in the right headspace. And then, but yeah, thankfully, Big Brother had like the resources and like therapists on hand that I was able to kind of, talk through things with her and kind of get my mind right back on track as much as I could, and then get back in the game. Try to do my best and pick up the pieces of my game that I had destroyed already and try to
Mm.
move forward. But yeah, it was a tough time. It was a tough time. So yeah, watching yourself have a little mental breakdown on national TV can be pretty difficult. But at the same time, it's something I look back on and I can use going forward to like have a nice baseline of my own mental health. Like I can look back at Big Brother 20 and be like, okay, that's the Tyler that I thrive as, and then I can look at 22 and be like, all right, this, if I'm ever acting like this, I can tell I'm struggling and I need to get some help. So yeah, I
Yep.
use both of them as like a springboard for my future. So even though it was difficult and yeah, but it's a good thing at the end of the day that I made it and I made it through and I love Big Brother still. So we good.
That's good. That's good. I love
Mm-hmm.
like the picture afterwards. If you can look back and just appreciate it for what it was, then you're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I will say, Tyler, though, I never thought we would see you on reality TV again after that. I was like, he's done.
Yeah.
And then
No.
and then when you signed up
Neither
for
did
the
I.
challenge, I was like, no way. How did
Yeah.
how did that happen?
I'm with you. I was like, I can't do this again. Like, no, no chance. And then, yeah, the challenge just had called, and I was at a point where I was like, I like built myself up physically again. Cause like, I mean, another thing, looking at Big Brother 22, I can barely even watch it because I could just see the like stress on my body. Like, I was so like thin, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not like normal for me to be like that thin. So, and that's like what I've learned through therapy. It's like an anxiety thing. Like, it kind of
Yep.
tears at my body in that way. So I was at a point where I was like built back up physically to where I wanted to be, and mentally I was like looking for something new to kind of challenge myself with. And the challenge called, and I was like, you know what? I like CBS, so
Yeah.
I don't. I think I might have been a little too scared to go on MTV, but it's on CBS. I'm like, okay, I think I can handle that. So yeah, it was just perfect timing. It worked out, and it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I also thought because, Big Brother, obviously there's a lot of drama, but I just feel like with the challenge, they lean a little bit more into those interpersonal relationships and drama. And I know
Mhm.
you're not really like that guy. So
Right.
when you were going in, were you like, I'm just going to focus on winning and then like try to stay out of the drama or?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I mean, I assume that's why they casted me because I was more like I definitely didn't like fit into the typical like challenger.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna be over the top, like yelling at people all the time. So I assumed they knew that about me, and I was like, okay, I guess I can just kind of go in there, be myself, and I just wanted to go in and rely on my like physicality and like prove myself physically amongst like those kind of competitors because I was like one of the smallest people in there, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I can really like hold my own and make some solid connections and play my game. But at the same time, it's like it's not 100 days locked away from society. Like, I get to be jumping off of like cliffs and stuff. Like, it sounds like fun, and yeah, so it was a good time. I do wish I would have kind of leaned into the strategy aspect more when I was on the challenge because I didn't really understand the game that much. But yeah, I had a good time and I made it pretty far, so I was happy. I was
Yeah.
happy I did it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the challenge sort of set this precedent. If you're sort of a rookie, I guess they call it, like your first season's never really going to go that great, but like you kind
Mhm.
of get your feet wet. So that makes sense. Like you did pretty well considering, it was your first season and you didn't have,
Yeah.
you did get into one little thing with Chris, right? But you guys are friends now. So I don't think that was a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deal.
we're friends. It was just kind of like just opposing for it. It's just like we called
Yep.
ourselves the bottom feeders because like every time we were just catching votes and catching strays. So for whatever reason, we just leaned into it and we're like, you know what, let's just be frenemies in here. And then yeah, he just went beast mode and crushed everybody and won the whole thing, and it was amazing. So yeah,
That
I was
was,
pumped
yeah.
for him. I definitely wish I would have had his storyline though. I wanted to be the bottom feeder that came up and won the whole thing, but I mean, Chris is scary. Chris is scary, so props to him.
What do you think is the harder social game, Big Brother or the challenge?
Big Brother, 100%, 100%. Uh, Big Brother is more like I would say it's just like literally like a marathon versus a sprint, but like because the challenge, it's the way just the game is like it's so fast paced. I guess you could say like you do a competition or a daily competition, and then that night is nominations, and then the next day is an elimination. So it's like super fast paced. But Big Brother, the amount of downtime that you have on Big Brother, like you can have like a Tuesday, everybody can be voting one way. By Wednesday at lunch, everyone's flipped, and then by the time you vote, everyone's flipped again. So it's like
Yep.
it's that mental like capacity that it takes to just stay in it and like stay the course in Big Brother is super hard. So I would
Hmm.
give that, but physically the challenge is definitely way harder.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's close.
Yeah, not even close. I was scared out of my mind every time we did something.
That's funny. Any sort of other reality show? Well, are you done with reality TV? Or are you open to it now?
I would say, I mean, like in the past, I said I was done with it, but I mean, now I'm kind of open to anything, anything. I don't know about anything. Maybe something less than a month, something like that. Maybe not 90 days or whatever it is, but yeah, I would say I'm open to anything. I've seen shows like The Traders, seems
Yeah.
cool. I said no to the first season of the Traders because I didn't really understand what was going on, and then I was like, oh, damn it, why did I? Probably should have done
Don't
that.
worry,
It seems
Tyler.
pretty cool.
Don't worry. I think a lot of people said no because you don't know what it is, right? And then
Yeah,
it comes
I'm
out
like,
and you're like,
stop.
oh,
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
dang. Yeah, because you can never. It's hard with the first season because it's like you never really tell what you're getting yourself into. At least like the challenge, I kind of like it had a reputation, so I could study it. But
Yep.
yeah, so but now knowing that and having said no to the traders, like now if something new rolled along and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I
Hmm.
could give that a shot. I'm definitely open to it.
Okay. Would you want to be a trader or faithful?
Mm,
Or
I
what do you
feel
think you'd be
like
good at?
I could be a decent trader,
Hmm.
but I think mentally it would be much better for me to be a faithful. Yeah, actually, I
Fair.
don't know. I probably wouldn't be a very good trader now that I think about it. Maybe like when I was 23, I could have been a pretty good trader if I was in that mode. But nowadays, I think I'd much rather be a faithful.
Yeah.
But who
I don't
knows
know
if
if
anyone's watching? If any other castmates are watching, I'm on the traders in the future. I could be anybody. You don't know.
I think you could. Like you could play it both ways, I think. But I just worry about my big brother people because we haven't been doing so well on the traders lately.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
uh,
Does Sari count? Sari counts as Big Brother though, right?
I think I don't know. She played Big Brother after, so it's hard.
Hey, we're still
But
claiming her. We're
we can
still
claim
claiming
her. I don't
her.
know. The Survivor people might come for us.
Hey,
What about Survivor? No?
I would love to do Survivor for
I
sure.
feel like that's your lane. I feel like you'd kill
Yeah,
it on Survivor.
I would love to do Survivor. The like I feel like that is something. Just the environment is something that I could be okay with because I'm thinking about it. Like at the end of the day, it's like the environment is what kind of seems to dictate how well I can do. Like being stuck in the Big Brother house is like being stuck indoors. Period is not something that I'm very good with. So like just being able to be outside is usually when I'm the happiest in real life. So I feel like Survivor is something I can handle and I can kind of lean into the strategic aspect that I know I have in me. So I definitely would love to do Survivor if it ever came
I
along.
would
That'd be
love
awesome.
that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
They don't have too
I
many
don't
Big Brother players on these days, though, do they? Like no
know. I
crossover. It's
mean,
been a while.
Caleb. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. That didn't end well. No,
No,
but that was
no.
cool. But we'll see.
Also,
Hit me up,
Tyler,
Jeff.
what would yeah, hit him up, Jeff. How would how don't vegans struggle on Survivor though? How is that hard?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I've
You'd have
eaten
to
lots
think
of
about that.
coconuts. I've eaten lots of coconuts for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Wasn't there like that one guy named Ty on Caleb's season? He was like trying to hide the chickens. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be like making alliances
Saving the
with the chickens.
chickens.
Yeah, I'd be setting them free. I'd be building them a boat and letting them float to the next island
Oh,
or something.
people would be pissed, but it's
Yeah, they'd be
okay.
so pissed. I'd be out. I'd be out that day.
Sadly, Sia's not giving money away, but if she was still giving money away, you probably would have won the Sia award that year because I remember she gave
Oh,
money to Ty for saving the chickens.
oh, is that
So,
right? Oh, let's
yeah.
go. Well, dang.
Uh, okay. Well, everyone wants to know, would you ever play Big Brother again, Tyler?
Um, I don't know. That's a crazy question to ask me because nowadays, like after being back in it and trying to throw myself like back in to watching it and like at the place I'm at, like now I feel like I would, but I don't know. I like maybe some reindeer games or something
I
that's
was
like
gonna say,
a month. I would definitely love me some reindeer games, like a month max or whatever. But a
no, it's
full
like a
season
week,
of Big
Tyler.
Brother, a week? It's a week? Okay, yeah,
Yes.
sign me up. Dude, the next three reindeer games. Yeah, without a doubt, for sure. But a full season, you gotta maybe sign me up for Big Brother like 50 or something, or like 45 or something. I don't know about a full 90 days, but you never know.
Never know. I've
Hmm.
been saying this for years, but like just getting like a shortened season, kind of like they do with Celebrity Big Brother, getting legends like you and some winners and Daniel Reyes and you Paul, like all these big names. I think that could be fun.
For sure. And I think that's what scared so many like big names away the first, or not the first time, for All Stars 2. Like, yeah, that's one thing. Like, a lot of people get on me for being so terrible about All Stars 2, but all these freaking big names They all backed out and they were all too scared to show up. So I want some of these big names to pull up and come through this time. I'm looking at you, Derek. I'm looking at Dan. I'm looking at all these OG, like top 10 best players. Come on, come back in there. Let's give it a shot. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think definitely like a shortened season. That would get them
Yep.
to get them to pull up and, see if they still got it. Because I want to
Yeah.
see it.
I think we all want to see it, Tyler. I
Hmm.
love it. Well, as we wrap up here, I sort of like to wrap up talking just about, since this is Legends only, about your legacy and what I think, if I guess, had to run down Tyler Crispen's legacy, you were a super fan. You dominated, especially your first game. You built these one on one connections with people who wanted to go far with you. You could win comps when you needed to. I feel like you're just a very likable guy. I don't think there's many people that are like, I don't like Tyler. I think you're just one of those people that's just very well rounded. And I'm sort of, first, tell me if I'm wrong. And second, yeah, what do you sort of think about your legacy on Big Brother?
Well, thanks. I didn't realize this was Legends only, so thank you.
Yeah,
I
only
appreciate
Legends.
that. That's
Yeah,
cool. Um, yeah, that's kind of hard. Thanks for saying all that stuff, by the way.
of course.
I don't know. I really just kind of, it's cool. It's amazing to be in that category by some people, I guess. And yeah, it's just really cool. It's just something like when you're so passionate about something and you want to do something so bad, and then to be able to go in there and do it, like I take it on like for myself. I'm like, that's such a lesson that I can use in life. Like anytime I'm really passionate, and I want to do something and I can go do it as well as I did it, it gives me a lot of
Hmm.
confidence. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like as good as a lot of people say I am, but I really enjoyed my experience and I gave it all that I had. And so to be recognized as like from people like you as one of like the
Oh,
better players is really cool. So I appreciate it.
of course, Tyler. And I just think it's cool, even me as a fan, because this is my job now. But like, I have to imagine with you, like when you were watching as a kid or whatever, now thinking like, I'm part of this. Like, that's got to be
Yeah,
cool. Every once in a while, when you
yeah,
step back.
for sure. That's one of the thoughts that I've had a lot recently now that I'm like able to dive back in it. It's like, wow, if I just think about myself when I was like a kid, like thinking about where I've come and like haven't been played the game, I'd be so proud of my older self. So now I'm like proud of myself now. You know what I mean? So it's really cool. It's really
For
cool that I've been
sure.
able to do it.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. This has been amazing.
It's been
You're always
awesome,
welcome
Sharon. Thank
back.
you.